The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
I don't know what to say, guys. What a day. Obviously, we're here doing this show. There's about 37 guys ready to play this video game here today, and 2 guys here ready to talk about it, but none of us really want to. We're all doing what we like to do because we want to emulate racing. That's what our love is. That's what our passion is, and we're here to emulate it. As we watch it every week, different forms of it. And when we watch it, we find drivers that we love, we hate, we follow them, we root against them, root for them. But at the end of the day, there's a form of respect that you have for every driver because they are risking their lives every week to do what they love to do. I was never a fan of Kyle Busch on the track, but I always respected him. I respected the talent he had. It's just hard saying that in past tense. I respect everything he brought to the sport, growing the sport with his personality, with his talent, but also in the later years of how he's become a mentor, how he's become almost a hero in some people's eyes. It's hard to say it all in past tense, but that's where it is. Again, it's just the respect of losing somebody. And we've lost a lot of drivers in the real world. In NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, we've lost drivers tragically in crashes. But that's not what happened today. We lost somebody in the same manner that any one of us, you, I, our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers, we lost him due to a medical complication, an illness, something that could affect all of us. And that hurts me more than it hurts anything, knowing that he's a father, a husband, an uncle, a mentor, and we lost him. He woke up, won a race last week, and today he's no longer with us. And that could be you or I. I'm going to go to bed tonight after this broadcast laying next to my wife. I might not wake up tomorrow. She might not wake up tomorrow. It makes you realize that everything in life is important and you can't take it for granted. But we're here today to do this show, to do this area broadcast. I know a lot of the drivers don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. My pal Sagar, he knows what's going on. He doesn't want to be here, but the show is here. There's money on the line. There is sponsors on the line. And sometimes getting back to normality is the best form of healing, even if you don't forget. So this is not going to be a normal broadcast. This is not going to be a high energy Corey Silva giving you, excited commentary. We're going to do the job to the best that we can, but it's not going to be a normal show. So with that being said, welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage of the Area Florida Estate Builders Pro Series. Round number 8 here at the Dover Speedway it's either 135 or 140 laps. It really doesn't matter. But it's myself, Corey Silva, in the booth. Got Sagar Bakshi helping me out with the commentary. Brad, who's usually with me. His dog is having a medical emergency now, so Brad is undergoing a lot of emotions. But Sagar, obviously, what more can be said? But we are here for a show. And Dover has been putting on some pretty good racing as of late.
Absolutely. And just to back up the sentiment is, regardless of what colors you cheered for on Sunday, Kyle Busch was one of those drivers you simply had to respect, as you said. He was fierce, unapologetic, and competitive. One of the most talented wheelmen the sport has ever seen. 2 Cup champions, Over 6 decades of Cup wins and a legacy that stretched across every national series. He didn't just race in NASCAR, he helped shape an era of it. Our thoughts are with Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, the Busch family, and everyone in NASCAR and motorsport community tonight.
Absolutely. And I watched a clip from the 1991 Bud at the Glen where we lost J.D. McDuffie, although we lost him in the moment in a tragic accident. And Benny Parsons said it best. None of us, and that's where I kind of got some of my opening monologue. None of us want to be here, but we have a job to do. The job didn't get canceled. The driver's job didn't get canceled. So we're here to put on that show to the best of our abilities and tell you how they get from lap 1 to whatever lap this thing ends on here in the area Florida State Builders Pro Series. We will be doing a silent, not just lap 8, because here at Dover, the laps are too short. That's not enough meeting. We will be doing a silent laps 1 through 8. And I did tell the drivers, please don't screw it up. But even if they do wreck, we're going to stay silent. So that being said, again, it is warm up here, race number 8 on the season. After race 7 at Indianapolis, Peyton Howell is our points leader by 28 points over Jake Nichols, and 12 drivers in chase contention right now, with the playoffs looming in about 5 races down the line. Zach Carr, 8 points behind the playoff bubble right now. And again, if you're watching on Twitch, we want to help you. We want to thank you for doing that. Hit the like and follow button there, $5 a month, and you can get yourself some cool perks and PTR TV, blah, blah. You know, we're doing good enough. I really insist, please, nobody send us super chats. I don't want money. I don't want to deal with money being sent to me and then I have to find a way to forward it. YouTube is going to take a cut. They're going to take 30% of anything that you guys give. We had a honorary race a couple weeks ago at Indianapolis for Dan Petefish, Seth Berger's friend who passed away. And YouTube took 30% of the money that you guys gave. So please, don't give me money. Give it to Victory Junction Camp. Go to KyleBusch.com. Find a charity that he really associated with. And if you really want to give money, give it to the right people. Please don't give it to me, because you're giving 30% of it to Google when you do so. So that all being said, Zoggergan, I appreciate you filling in on such terms. A lot of our other commentaries team just didn't have the heart to show up just for personal reasons and not feeling in the game. Brad, obviously, his doggo is not doing too well. So again, I appreciate you being here, and it's kind of a weird one to talk through here today. I fully understand.
It is a weird one. As you know, I'm not much of an oval specialist. I come from road racing. So the impact of the Busch passing didn't affect the road racing that much today until a few moments ago, where we started talking about it and how to honor him and in what way would be the best. And we came to the conclusion, similarly as you all did tonight, that lap 18 will be held in silence completely for Kyle Busch's memory. Just out of respect, but the show has to go on. The championship is on the line. As you said, Corey, there's money on the line. There's sponsorships on the line. I mean, just everything to play for here. We have 4 drivers battling it out for P1 in this championship, and the finale is tonight. So,
well, we're not going for a championship here today.
Excuse me. In the road racing world that I'm talking about, not here tonight. We're not going for a championship, as you said, but it's just a weird one to play by the staleness in the air, let's say.
That is the best way to surmise it here. Is we do have 30 seconds left in the warm-up right now. Again, we have, I've lost track. We do have a smaller grid here today, maybe mid-20s of drivers. And Dover has been putting on some good racing, some good multi-groove racing this week. We've covered a bunch of racing, seeing these drivers go top to bottom. So I think good racing, good clean racing will be the best cleansing for the soul that we will be providing here today. And in our YouTube chat, bundleofjoyfund.org, that is a nonprofit dedicated to providing monetary grants to couples struggling for IVF. Kyle and Samantha were struggling for years to have offspring beyond Brexton Lennox, was actually through IVF. So if you want to give money, thank you, Jason Beckner, in our YouTube chat for that, because that is a better cause than lining our pockets. We're doing good enough here on PTR TV. But let's head down trackside again. I'm not playing music here today. This isn't really the tone for it. I know I played a little bit, but that's all that there is. Garrett Conrath going to start today's race from position number 1 with Jeff Wright in second. Jonathan Evans in third with John Hall going to roll off in P4. Justin Bolton in fifth. Jonathan Taylor in the 6th spot. Philip Groner in 7th with Alex Chilcutt in 8th. Rounding out our top 10, we have Brian Mercurio and Peyton Howell. That should be a row to watch. Hand it off to you there, Sagar.
In 11th, Jake Nichols and James Scully. Thank you. In 12th. Following that, it's Tim Pacholi and Connor Horn. AJ Stravato and Jeremy Miller will be 15th and 16th. Michael S. Trucker and Drew Ferrines.
I've never gotten corrected on him, and I butcher it every time, so I'll call that good enough.
Justin Opplinger and Nico Servideo line 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah, the name gods weren't good to you here. Travis Beckner in 21st. We got Jackson Hartman 22nd. Hunter Sr. in 23rd with Diego Sainz in 24th. 25th, we'll find Lucas Lodoto with Sebastian Miller, and then we'll just scroll on through. Admin busy here today. I don't have the lineup of who is penalized and who is not, so it doesn't look as though that anybody is peeling it off, resetting themselves. Maybe a few did. I didn't get the full indication on that. So, but again, our race details here, as always, here in area. 100% fuel load. Actually, let's cut that off. And again, silent lap 1 through 8. Barney will get them going, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes. Rest in peace, Kyle Busch. right? So 8 clean laps here to start this thing off here at Dover Motor Speedway. And John Hall leading things through. The battle for second is no longer Garrett Conrath, who was leading some laps, has now fallen back to the third spot, now down to fourth, as Jonathan Evans using that outside lane. And one of the beauties of the outside lane, Sagar, it lets you keep that momentum built up with the longer distance, gives you that a little bit of extra run down these straightaways, can be oh so beneficial.
And with these very, very short straightaways, drivers are really only getting a few moments of relief on the straights before diving back into this banking that's at 24 degrees. And it gives this short track a super speedway-like intensity.
Absolutely. This track hitting speeds of about 170 miles an hour down to about 130 through the corners. But again, no room to hide. We have seen the big one happen many times here this week where the track just stacks on up and there's nowhere to hide. Again, almost confines of Indianapolis where we saw last week when a wreck happens, just not much real estate. They call it a self-cleaning track because there's so much banking, Sagar. Just gravity takes over. A car wrecks to the top, slides right down to the bottom, and clogs up this very narrow racing surface.
Yeah, it's just a challenging racetrack. Turn 1 having being one of the most intimidating entries on the schedule because drivers are carrying that big speed that you talked about going down in towards turn 1 at around 170, 180 miles an hour. The car compresses really hard as it drops into that banking, and the key is to avoid overdriving that entry. If you overdrive the entry or if you go in too deep, front tire is going to give up through the center and the car will wash out wide.
Absolutely, and that will cause drivers to run out of room, hit the wall, which we've seen many a time this week. That turn 2 and turn 4 wall will come out. Alex Chilcutt with a big slide there off the corner. He managed to save it, but Brian Mercurio still looking for the first win on the season. He is one of many. You can see 2 of them in the shot right there, having that. Somebody in the iRacing community did create it. Of course, you could see it on the screen right there. They made 2 versions of it. Of course, the 8, which is what he has driven since 2023 for Richard Childress Racing, and the 18 that he made famous with Joe Gibbs Racing. Made that commemoratory logo there, so a lot of drivers have it on their cars. Brian Mercurio does, and I think it was it Alex Chilcutt? Yes, directly behind, and you'll see it sprinkled through the field as well. But we do have Jeff Wright trying to battle for the lead, seeing that rubber already go down, the marbles forming, and this is where you'll start to see them struggling for that aero push there, Sagar. Doesn't matter what form of racing you're in. When you're at a high speed and you're directly behind the person in front of you, that car does not handle the same.
Yeah, the preferred line usually starts around the middle to high groove on entry and rolls through the center with a little bit of patience. So drivers are kind of focusing on getting a strong drive off of the corner rather than kind of chucking it in and hoping for a good entry. The bottom lane can work for passes, as we've seen here, but it requires a car that rotates extremely well and a driver can keep the rear stable. And it's not so easy to do in these machines.
The groove is already starting to progress. You are seeing that dynamic track model here, the rubber going down, and as it goes down, it gets slick, forces you up the track, and to find that clean real estate. And that's where the grip will find. Then eventually the bottom has actually started to go away here at the Dover Motor Speedway. And we've seen Dover divers, as I was calling them the other night, Dover slide jobs trying to make passes. Sebastian Marin was patenting them the other day. So you'll see that happen as well. But up front, John Hall has managed to hold off the charge now 20 laps in. Now, for a couple different reasons there, Hunter. I just called you Hunter, so forgive me. I usually work with Hunter. For a couple reasons there, Saga, this race may have a more green flag flair than usual. These are the toughest NASCAR vehicles on the service, which does cause a little more spreading out, but I think the tone of the night, everyone just wants a clean race. That all being said, we're going to need at least one pit stop to finish tonight's race off. Do you think you want to bet on a caution flag pit stop, or do you think that maybe the green flag vibes will want to turn you to playing that green flag strategy?
I think here at Dover, if I'm not mistaken, these cars can go probably about 70 laps. If I'm not mistaken, if I just recall, if it's an unrestricted fuel load,
yeah, I think it's 70 to 80. Tires will be the question.
There we go.
Will the tires last? Now let's reference with John Hall, who is, again, under fire from Jeff Wright, who we could see them working up the track. The best lap to last lap fall off. We're already down about a second and a third, maybe even closer to a second and a half. So there is a massive
strategy call.
Yeah, massive opportunity.
Play it into thirds, play it into half. I guess that's the argument, right? Yeah. I wouldn't bet on a caution for tires, but if a caution does come up, foreign fuel is definitely my choice.
Dover is traditionally, well, not even traditionally, factually, the slowest pit road on NASCAR, 35 miles an hour. You will lose two laps pitting here at Dover, as we have a good gaggle here for position, Chilcutt and Jonathan Taylor. So I don't know if two-stopper would work even with the fall-off, because I think they'll just lose too much time in the pits. But when you time that one pit stop will be huge. And this is a very difficult pit road to get onto. We've seen drivers screwed up this week. We'll go on board here with Justin Bolton, who's underneath Jake Nichols, coming off of turn number 2 down the backstretch here. And you can just see here, Sagar, that you got to get down to the flat. Very little room, and there's your entry right there. Getting down there, so much time to lose, so much time to gain, so many mistakes to make.
Not only is the pit stop going to be difficult for the drivers to manage it, as far as timing is concerned, it'll also mean that lap traffic will become a big factor here at this short track. That means that we'll have drivers on faster pace, on lead laps will be on slower pace, and we all know that the blending of those two will lead to some, well, perhaps calamity.
Yeah, hopefully nothing that will have any overly drastic effects on the outcome of the race here. And Garrett Conrath, who did start up front and led 7 laps. It felt like longer than that, but evidently it's not now. He seems to be gaining a little bit of time back, but struggling to make the pass on Jonathan Evans, battling right in his tire tracks. As you can see, Brian Mercurio going up, getting that clean air in the middle groove, and seeing if Mercurio gets that run down the back straightaway, and there he does. Jonathan Evans dedicated to running. Oh, just as I say that, he does change his line, trying to get that clean air on the nose, but also trying to put the dirty air on the nose of Brian Mercurio to his rear.
And we talked about the dirty air a little bit before the broadcast. I think now it's definitely starting to become a thing as we see drivers start to dip out from that draft, the on-corner entry, and really trying to find something else. There's the 49 of Garrett Conrath finding a different line and momentum on the high groove there.
Yeah, that is higher than we've seen anybody yet, and the fear to that is the marbles that are starting to form here, which you'll get drivers pushing the marbles up the track, trying to find that grip on the long run. But right now, trying to dust it off up there, find that traction. But what also happens is when you run unused real estate, it actually is harder on the tires. It will wear them out even faster. So there kind of is a catch-22. You might gain some time up there in the short run, but you might also lose some on the long run. So you've got to find that balance as you're trying to navigate, as we have, again, a lot of close battles, a lot of close situations here. That's Justin Bolton going all the way up into no man's land, nearly 3 wide with, who is that, Taylor and Stravato, but everyone is racing very clean tonight.
Keeping it very respectful indeed are the drivers right now. The 41 trails and leaves a respectful amount of room to the 87 up ahead, but finds the low line and is able to snatch it up. And the position is there for Justin Bolton of the number 41. Now has AJ Stravato up ahead and the 77 to keep his eye on.
Trying to find something that is exactly for the 10th spot. James Scioli. Been looking for him to shine here, as we always do here in area. Already does have 1 win on the season. Would love to have 2, but doesn't seem to have that race-winning speed as of yet, but that very well could change. Going a little bit further back, Jeremy Miller, who has been great in the trucks this season, hasn't had the best of luck here in the other 2 Area Series Cup and Pro, but currently battling with Drew Farnaz there. That's 19th and 20th, but up a little bit further, Brian Mercurio, who's still looking to take the goose egg out of that win column. He is in 4th, very quickly approaching the back bumper of Evans for P3.
Here's the battle now for P3 as we ride on board with Mercurio. He chases down the Toyota Performance Machine up ahead, and there's Whiplash onboard telemetry coming out and pushing forward to gear, getting up to nearly 170 miles an hour before getting on the brakes and slamming down to 100 and something miles an hour through the apex of the corner, and then getting on the loud pedal one more time. And as I said earlier, the drivers just get mere seconds to rest and check their mirrors before it's back on the wheel again.
Yeah, this is certainly one of the more physical tracks, both in the real world and in the sim, especially for those drivers who do have the direct drive wheelbases that put all that force into the wheel. It will actually cause you to start sweating and feeling it here in the simulator. Looking there, who is that? That's Travis Beckner, our Hendry County flagman. You can see him on Saturday at Hendry County Raceway Park, henryracing.com. Get your tickets. Check him out there in Clewiston, Florida. He had a big wiggle off of turn number 4. Connor Horn just behind in the number 6-7. But it seems as though, Sagar, that top lane, it may not be the fastest lane in single car pace, but it can sure put on some really strong defense.
Some defenses are better than others here, as it seems. The 26 has lost out that position to the 82 of Mercurio finally. Just whittled away at the time and put himself in a good position to finally get up into 3rd now. Not too shabby of a run for Brian there in the number 8-2.
A little bit further back, AJ Stravato, Justin Bolton, close quarters racing. Big slide by Stravato. 4 did recover, but we'll see if that has any long-term effects on that right rear tire. Peyton Howell just ahead. He is the points leader, running in the 10th spot. The ticker has changed over to the last lap time elapsed by each of these drivers, and as they cross by for lap number 42, see the only driver in the 4/10 of a second bracket is going to be our race leader, John Hall. Was under fire from Jeff Wright for a few laps, but between maybe just long run pace, no dirty air to deal with, he has been able to set sail and get himself a comfortable gap.
But does that mean that he'll fall off later on in these runs? Because the lap is so short, leaders can catch traffic pretty quickly, and passing lap cars without losing rhythm is a huge part of winning here at Dover. So because he's got all this pace now, does that mean that he'll have tire fall off later on in this run?
We've already hit about now almost 2 seconds here. We'll pull it up one more time. I think we pulled it up about 20 laps ago, and I will pull it up again. Now it's about 1.7 seconds. So the over-undercut strategy definitely would have some fruits to it here But do you want to take the risk maybe around lap, 70, 68 or something like that? I dare say number 6-7, but won't joke about it here today. Not in the joking mood for obvious reasons, but 67 would be the halfway. Do you want to pit at 60 and try to gain and hope you don't fall off? Could be a strategy. I do have a potential wreck that happened, and we'll try to queue it up if possible. Forrest Smith in the 15. Well, I guess he crashed, or he just failed to exist in the world. So he is now 4 laps down and in the pits. Not sure if the connection has ceased to improve, but unfortunate luck for the number 15. Jeff Wright now almost a second back, and where is he on the stopwatch right now? He is about 10th and a half, almost 2 tenths slower than John Hall, who did get a win on the season at, I believe it was Las Vegas. Indeed it was. Not really similar too much, but a speedway nonetheless. So John Hall definitely has some pace, and he's showing it here tonight.
Pulling out that 1 second gap on Jeff Wright right now is Hall, but right now the battle that's seeping is right up ahead of Philip Broner, currently running in 8th position. Jake Nichols, Garrett Conrath, and Alex Chilcutt are all dicing it up right now. Looking further back as well, it'll be a mix-up and a gaggle of these Gen 6 cars, as there goes a move from the number 86 on the number 30. And that was a late-breaking move going into 1 and 2, but these drivers are well equipped to handle the task at hand. Excuse me, that was 3 and 4.
It all blends in the same. Now are we nearly 3 wide? That's Justin Opplinger in the 96. Thought better of it there. Pacioli loose off a 2 down into Drew Farinaz, who made a really good save there down the back straightaway, as Dover's corner exit's certainly not the easiest to navigate. We'll check that out on replay. It's either nearly 3 wide, funneling to a tight corner exit. Pacioli just struggled, and that caused a little bit of a stack up, but they all kept it going the right way.
Yeah, really good saves for Drew there in the number 20. Unbelievable, actually, that he kept it out of the wall, and he's still in that battle pack.
Here is Garrett Conrath, again, our pole sitter, who now he was back to 6th. Did just pass Alex Chilcutt, moving him up into 5th. As we are now 50 laps into today's race here for the Florida Estate Builders Area Pro Series. Round number 8 here at Dover. Corey Silva in the booth with Sagar Bakshi here helping me out with all the commentary here this evening on a very subdued and just down in the dumps Thursday night, given what has transpired here in the real world. So see all the commemorative paint schemes here. Some drivers have that logo on the hood, and a clean race at Dover area has underwent. I'll pause that thought as Timmy Pacioli is in the pits. He was in and around the 10th or 12th spot. I would say this is early to take it to the end there, Sagar, but maybe he just didn't have anything left and felt it was best to try. No, he was black flagged for some reason.
Black flagged, yeah.
Maybe he sped in the pits. As I think that's probably what happened. I think he was just choosing to pit and then actually sped into it. I don't think there'd be any other reason he would have been black flagged.
I agree with that assumption there. Black flag while trying to come down pit road is the most likely cause. As you said, very tricky pit lane here at Dover. One of the trickiest and slowest on the calendar. So drivers, having not practiced, will definitely succumb to the pit lane speed limit.
Now that is the number 36 of Michael Tucker. He is on fresh tires, which is why he is engaged in Superman mode right now, going about 2 seconds a lap faster. You can just see that I always relate it to, you're playing your favorite racing game on easy mode. You are just driving through and slicing and dicing like everyone has 100 less horsepower. But that's what it feels like when you pit and everybody else doesn't. But the problem to that, Sagar, is what you alluded to before. The closing rate is just so drastic that sometimes you as the faster car, and more importantly, the guys on the older tire, can't react to how quickly they're getting closed in on.
Yeah, 2 seconds a lap at a 23-second
Oh,
track.
gosh. Here's Jonathan Taylor doing the same thing right in the middle of the pack.
My goodness, this is going to get dicey, and the green machine up ahead is going to have a moment. That's the number 11 of Philip Groner in the middle there. It comes the 87 down towards the middle. It's a little loose, but takes off like a rocket ship in a straight line.
And the thing is he cannot go easy, because when you are making this strategy, you need to gain as much time as you possibly can, because this is how the over-under strategy works. He needs to run flyer lap times, gain as much time as possible, so that way when everybody else pits, he is at the biggest advantage he can be. Because as we know, Sagar, the way that the over-undercut strategy works is you have the fresh tires now, you build the lead, and then you hang on for dear life when those fresher tires behind you charge on in.
Yeah, absolutely. That has to be the strategy for the drivers that have already come down pit road, taking the green flag tire change. Here we go, 3 wide, coming down in towards 1 and 2. The 48 gives the old pincher-rooney there to the number 26. This is Jeff Wright and Jonathan Evans right now.
Oh,
coming out of 3 and 4, and there's a touch from behind.
Wait.
And that's going to spin the 26, but slams on the brake and recovers the car.
How is he going to react as we stay green for now? And again, just due to the nature of what Barney needs to have happen to trigger a caution, Evans did a phenomenal job keeping it straight enough that Barney will let him go, and he will just use this as an opportunity to pit to try to minimize the damage. But yeah, that kind of got right reared by Conrath there. I got not intentional at all, just tight spacing here. And again, he managed to spin to the apron where he kept it straight, and we stay green flag racing.
Just an amazing recovery there. Quick hands, quicker than a cat, flipping itself upside down to land on its fours is just quicker than quick things in Quicksville.
As the rest of these drivers, again, we are very quickly approaching this halfway point. Sagar, I know I told you this would be a quick one. I mean, regardless of whether this race is cleaner or not, just due to the mentality that is in everyone's heart right now. Even on paper, this is a quick race. It was about a 15-minute race, start to finish, even with no cautions. And, we expected a few cautions here and there, and I'm still not going to write them off. But either way, we're only about 30 minutes into this race, and we are just about at the halfway point.
Yeah, agreed. As we noted, or as I noted, we do have more races to go after this tonight. And yeah, this one was expected to be one of the quicker ones for myself. But the boys out here tonight, John Hall, Brian Mercurio, Jarek Conrath, leading in 1, 2, 3 right now, but it's not over yet. John Hall seemingly under threat right now from Brian in that number 82. What do we make of this?
Brian is someone who is very, very good at tire saving, almost to a fault. I do remember a few times this year he said he saved tires too much, which is that he went a little bit earlier and, took advantage of them more late run. So now he's at the super end of the run here, maybe pitting at about 10 laps or so, and he has managed to get there. I guess my only fear with that, Sagar, is if it takes you the whole run to make your time, is he going to have enough time to make the move if it happens again and he does the same sequence? But Alex Chilcott, again, he was in the top 10. He is choosing to pit.
Well, it'll definitely make for an exciting race. end if Brian ends up going for a late lap dash to the end. But for right now, it's John Hall controlling the field, and it will be the 82 trying to change that up here and now. He gets underneath the rear diffuser of the 24 and disturbs that arrow that is being created. Now no longer. He dips down to the low line, and I think the 24 saw the writing on the wall and lets the 82 through.
Oh, and Mercurio didn't get off the corner. That opens the door again for John Hall to the inside to retake the lead. We got a little crossover action. Leaves the bottom open again. Again, we saw the Dover Diver in the truck race with Sebastian Marin. Mercurio taking heed to that move this time by. Can John Hall replicate it? Now he's going to have Timmy Pacioli on those fresh tires, trying to slice and dice through while also being cognizant of the battle for the lead. But if I am John Hall right now, Sagar, I'm pitting this lap. You just lost the lead. You're definitely slower on the long run. I see no advantage to him staying out any more laps.
That's the right call to make at this point in time. If you're going to try to go for a win here, let alone 13 NASCAR National Series wins, such as Kyle Busch, who got 3 Cup Series wins in 8, 10, 17, 5 Craftsman Truck Series wins, and 5 Xfinity wins. It is absolutely insane, but if you want to get even one win, how do you pull it off here at Dover? What are the keys to the race in your opinion, Corey?
Well, again, it's save those tires. It's getting clean air. We have 2 drivers who just hit the wall. I think Hall and Conrath at the same time. But, you know, I'm not good at calculating laps, the halfway lap on an odd number. I think it's this lap right now. No. So we're already past halfway, actually. And here is John Hall. He's going to get the undercut on Brian Mercurio. Don't speed. Don't get that black flag icon next to you on our scoring ticker. And I will almost bet the farm that Mercurio is going to follow him through. He can't afford not to.
With 8 positions gained right now, Mercurio has to try to stave off the attacks from behind. He's flying into pit lane, screeches it to a halt. Again, hopefully not getting a black flag penalty for speeding in the pits. Not seeing it pop up yet for him, so assumingly that he's made it through cleanly. Garrett Conrath now inherits the lead of the race.
Now Mercurio, Jeremy Miller exiting as Mercurio trying to enter. Now Mercurio had to back up there. That'll cost him a little bit. Garrett Conrath in, but there's one thing there, Sagar, to what will constitute these drivers staying out as long as possible, and that is praying for a caution flag. Because right now, only 10 drivers on the lead lap. If a caution was to come out right now, Peyton Howell would have everybody in such a detrimental position. So that is what's going for him here, is somebody pancaking the wall. I think that was James Scioli. But again, you're praying for the caution, but if you don't get it, you're going to be in such a hole.
It's so true. I mean, at this point in time, you're really going to just count your blessings that there hasn't been a caution thus far in this race, and then just understand that we're keeping it green and clean going to the final few laps of this event. With lap 135 on the clock, lap 77, I may be Indian, Corey, but I can't do math in my head, unfortunately, so I can't tell you how many laps we have remaining, but it's less than 77.
I think it is about 68 laps to go, I think. But here is something worth noting, and this is huge. This is cataclysmic, which I'm not even sure if it's a word, but I use it a lot, so I hope it is. John Hall, remember, he pit ahead of Mercurio by 1 lap. 14 seconds in the box, 46 seconds in the pit lane. Here's Brian Mercurio. He had a shorter pit stop, but you saw him have to back up by a smidgen there. And that cost him that cost him about a second and a half slower in pit lane. Now here's the kicker to that, Sagar. Losing a second and a half in the pits when you're going 35 miles an hour, that translates to a much bigger gap on the racetrack at full speed.
Very true. Very true. It's a bigger gap than you can even imagine right now. And definitely not what was on my bingo card tonight. As I was looking forward to seeing a new victor crowned, it might be the same old with Peyton Howell getting yet another win to his name.
So that's 2 seconds for Brian Mercurio to get to John Hall, which if everything flushes through with this green flag cycle, as you can see there on the ticker, that is where we stand. 80, so 4 drivers yet to pit. That will be the battle for the win. You do have Alex Chilcutt, who pitted 6 laps further ahead of those drivers. And as we look in the rear view, try to see where where John Hall is. I don't actually see him in the immediate shot. So Alex Chilcutt, pardon me. He is in a good spot until John Hall can catch him, which at this point I think it's about a straightaway.
But again, we talk about tire fade being a big factor here. I wonder if the drivers that stayed out as long as possible will be able to catch up. We spoke about time also being a factor here.
Yeah, only 50-ish laps to go. I mean, like we said, you're losing about a second and a half a lap, some cases more. So the math has to math, as we like to say. Are you going to be able to gain that time back up? Is there enough time in the race? And then, of course, fresh tires do decay. So if you're a second and a half faster a lap, you're not always going to be a second and a half faster a lap. It will decay. So there's fancy-dancy math equations that teams have. They have all the software. Of course, we don't have it. And I don't think the drivers have it either. So that's kind of the guessing game that has to take place here as we wait for sequences to come through. But here comes Peyton Howell into the pits, one of our final 3, with Opplinger now taking the lead, still yet to pit. And then we're also waiting for Donald Kite, and Kite struggling. Will he actually? Nope, there it is. It was bound to happen, Sagar. Somebody was going to miss the pits and make that critical mistake.
Peyton Howell gets a meatball flag. No, on pit road entry. How does that happen?
Well, a meatball?
That's what it said on the live timing, MB.
It does say a meatball flag on the back end. That doesn't make sense because that is for damage. I mean, it did clear, though, so I'm not fully sure what happened, but he does seem to be chugging through just fine, and we are waiting.
Only Toledo, the 23, the 95, getting dicey there.
That's Lucas Lododo, and then the 95 is... I'm struggling to find who the 95 is right now. But 96...
As am I.
Or maybe it wasn't a 95. Could have been a 65. I think it was actually the 65 of Ben Pierce. No, it wasn't. But either way, it was slicing and dicing around. Jeremy Miller with a shot to the back of AJ Stravado. Little bump up the track. It won't account for anything. We're still waiting for Justin Opplinger to pit. Now, again, this is what will be the leader, Alex Chilcutt. Remember, he pit earlier than everybody else, so he used those fresh tires to build up a gap. The immediate car behind him, well, not Nico Servideo. You can see that little white car way in the back of the shot. That is John Hall. That will be the battle for the lead. And then we'll reference, where is Brian Mercurio in the mix right now? That car directly ahead of him, that's John Hall. So we have the chaser chasing the chased, who's chasing the chasee. I don't think any of that made sense, but 3 different strategies all rubber banding together here in a matter of about 45 laps.
And there goes Opplinger down pit road, and another meatball flag. Did you see that as well? Anyways, must be a timing tower issue. I'm sorry. But anyways, back over to the race action. So Chilcutt back into the lead after coming down pit road. John Hall in P2, Mercurio in third. That's your 1, 2, 3 combo right now.
All right, I am getting some back end knowledge because they do have drivers who watch this driver who's not running here today, but iRacing and the way that iRacing operates with its back end physics, if a driver gets a meatball flag, it's because their car is terminally damaged, but it's also because if they get a blown tire, the sim will give them the meatball flag, force them to pit. So those drivers may have had their tires actually down to 0%, effectively corded, which is why they got that meatball flag. So I do thank you, driver in the background, for giving us that little synopsis. Dover is difficult on the tires, and some drivers used every last bit of Goodyear rubber.
Absolutely. And every single drop of fuel to boot, pushing 88 laps at the end of the day for one driver. That was absolutely insane run. Operator, that's who it was, the 96.
Indeed, the case here is chugging on through. Now, usually, as you guys know, I do a bunch of sponsor reads, and I do want to at least point out our sponsors. I'm not going to go into the full sponsor ad reads here today. Again, it's just not the occasion for worrying about money. It's just worrying about just the racing community as a whole, and obviously the Bush family and everyone in association. But of course, Rick's Hot Sauce, shop.area, iRacing.com, Blue Tip Pools, as well as there is a Central Mobile Homes. I have it all in front of me, and I'm trying to go off the top of my head. And of course, Hendry County Motorsports Park and the Area iRacing Twitch. All those links are in the description. Of course, when you help the sponsors out, it helps the leagues out. So again, just check all those links out. But up front, and this is interesting. Alex Chilcutt is actually, oh no, that last time by he was faster, but this time by he's slower, but he is holding on better than I thought. But someone who's not is John Hall, because Mercurio has caught him.
Beautiful battle going into the final 40. As we have Mercurio chase down John Hall. And we haven't seen, I'm not even going to say it. We've stayed green and clean up until this point, and I don't want to jinx it with any sort of commentator's curse. Now, Corey, do you believe in the commentator's curse?
Oh, absolutely. We are terrible at it here.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I had someone not believe, and then he quickly became a believer after a few incidents and cautions came out later. But right now, hoping for none is Mercurio, because he is in a good position to challenge for the lead. His stint is looking good right now. He's up 6 positions on the grid, and his pace has stayed fairly consistent over the past couple runs, despite being in dirty air. Keeps on slipping away at 23.8.
Times are getting tight, and we're seeing these drivers fall off. Again, now we are down about a 1.25 seconds from where we stood. Of course, the benefit for Chilcutt right now is he has the clean air. He hasn't had to fight anybody outside of the lap traffic. But who is being hurt right now is Mercurio, and I talked about that before. He has the long run pace, but the problem with that is you run out of time, but he's also using a lot of tire right now trying to get by John Hall, and that might use some of the goodness he has left. That even if he does, will he have enough to get Chilcutt?
Hopefully he does, but like you said, the clock, most importantly, is running out. 35 laps remaining. We're running under 30-second laps right now. That means we have less than 40 minutes of racing left to go. It is going to be an absolute drag over the next 20 minutes to see who can come out on top here at Dover.
Yeah, Peyton Howell, remember one of the last ones to pit. He's up to 10th now. He is running about a 4 or 5 tenths of a second faster than the drivers ahead of him. Now, up front, John Hall is closing in as he is trying to, actually he's not getting by. That's just Oppliger. I think he was the last one to pit. But they are both closing in on Alex Chilcutt, both Mercurio and Hall. But again, catching him is one thing, passing him is another. We don't know. Is Chilcutt giving 100%? He might have left something on the table waiting for when that last run charges. But he's looking for his first win on the season, 10th in the point standings, only 13 ahead of the chase bubble. So he would want any bit of reassurance he can get. Of course, a win will give maximum points and the best opportunity for that, but may not be as easy as we're making it come off to be, as John Hall took off another 10th that time by.
So Oppliger there getting by the race leader of Alex Chilcutt, who put him back onto the lead lap by the looks of it, and he'll be able to chase it down all the way to the checkered flag, hopefully. 104 of 135 coming down here for the Area Pro Series, and it will be Mercurio to chase down the next leader.
Now,
the 87 makes a late pit stop now.
Well, remember, he pit around lap 50 or so. We were talking about, was a one-stop or a two-stop going to matter? And I said, I just don't think with this slow of a pit road that you'll be able to overcome the difference. You lose about 47 seconds to pit. Now, again, just do basic mathematics. I know, Thugger, you say you're not good at it, but we're going about 23-second laps. 23 times 2, that's 46. So you lose 2 laps. You're not going to gain that on the racetrack.
No, unfortunately not for the 87. It's not looking great for Jonathan Taylor tonight, as he does go those 2 laps down. It'll be 19 positions lost. Casey Lacados and Sebastian Miller are dicing it up right now for 18th and 19th position. Right now, it'll be Lacados in front of Sebastian Miller.
AJ Stravado getting through on fresh tires, but you know, we just talked about, well, is Chilcutt going to be able to hang on? I don't know the exact answer to that, but John Hall has taken in just the last 2 laps about 3/10 out of the lead. And then look at John Hall in his mirror. That orange car of Brian Mercurio is getting smaller and smaller, but that blue and white car getting bigger and bigger. John Hall led a myriad of laps here today, that thereof 60 of them, so just under half of this race has gone to the number 24. And there's about 27 laps to go. He's trying to get it back.
And he might just be able to do so because we all know the common phrase and saying, traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. And as we start to run across some traffic ahead, we'll see some time being gained and lost despite them doing their best efforts to stay out of the way.
That's Ben Pierce getting by in the Interstate Batteries car. Was run by Bobby Labonte, but at points in his career, Kyle Busch did run that Interstate Batteries car, and has that logo, as you'll see that quite a bit, and rightfully so, here in the iRacing community, as well as the real world community. But John Hall getting right to the rear deck lid of Alex Chilcutt. Mercurio under fire from the lap car of Jonathan Taylor. Now they're going to be side by side for the race lead. The 87's trying to get through on fresh tires, multiple laps down. Doesn't want to interfere, but he also has his own page that he is trying to write here today, as he'll get by the both. And here comes Mercurio, making it a 3-car battle for the race win.
This is absolutely electric. There goes a move from the 82. Right now finds the open door on the number 24. Does he also find the same door open on Alex Chilcutt? It might be available, but he can't find the momentum on the low groove line.
And John Hall going 2 for 1. Let's go 3 wide for the race lead through the corner here. 1 and 2. Chilcutt negative Bob's your uncle. Loses 2 spots in 1 corner, but John Hall using the run off the top, trying to hang on and holds on to a lead very, very tight, with Mercurio struggling to the inside lane, falls back into line, but still about 23 laps for Mercurio to figure something out.
Yeah, Alex Chilka definitely playing the 1,000 IQ mind games there. Saw the diminishing returns of keeping his nose in it as the gap was closing between Mercurio and John Hall on exit of 3 and 4. And now it's looking like it might turn into a definite two-way squabble now as Alex Chilcutt is falling out of fashion.
Man, Chilcutt again, those tires, they held on for quite some ways here, but 7-lap older tires just couldn't go and hang on at top speed for the last 20 laps of this race. Timmy Pacioli in the 86 trying to get through. He is 3 laps down in 27th. I'm not aware of any overly glaring issues he's had here today. May have had an alternate pit strategy that didn't go his way. 9th in the point standings, only 18 above the cut line. So this is not going to be a good run for him down in 27th, trying to turn his season around. But Mercurio in tight quarters with John Hall as Pacioli trying to get by. But Mercurio staying right in that dirty air wake there, Sagar. And again, not going to help the downforce, but here's Pacioli. Maybe this will change things up and work to Mercurio's advantage.
Like we say, lap traffic giveth, lap traffic taketh away in the same breath. And when the door opens for lap traffic that's faster, you can typically follow suit and use that open door to carry your momentum. But that door was promptly shut. John Hall was having none of it tonight.
I thought John Hall was going to give the door to Brian Mercurio up top. That would have been a risky move, but Pacioli was actually using that lane. Obviously, Hall can't be there, but this is one of those awkward situations there, Sagar, where Pacioli is faster, but he's not fast enough to drive away quickly as he maybe now is, because that's now dirty air on John Hall's nose that he hasn't had to deal with in quite some time.
And all this battling ensuing is making things exciting for the likes of Alex Chilcutt in the number 60 as we're under 18 laps left to go as the drivers cross the line. It'll be 17. Chilcutt looking like that you might be able to cool off those tires and get back into the mix. And just as I said that, has a little wiggle on exit.
Over the wiggle, and here comes Mercurio with a charge to the inside. We know how difficult it is to make the move on the inside. One of the ways to do it is the Dover diver, but John Hall's going to run a tighter line into turn number 1, take that opportunity away, force Mercurio into that hot, slick groove, nearly some contact off of corner number 2. That'll kill Mercurio's momentum, let Chilcutt get a little bit closer. All of them running a very similar line, high in the corner. Again, that's going to subdue some of the momentum with everyone running the same line.
And the gravity definitely pushing these cars down into the concrete here at Dover. As they enter the banking, there goes the move from the 82. A lick of the stamp and ascend now on the number 24. But a pinch given there, and they are going to touch on corner exit. But the driver's quick-handedness able to keep it green still.
He tried to do a Dover diver, but he was a little too far back, couldn't fully clear, and was in an awkward position to where he was trying to keep that car down the track. But now, speaking of down the track, that's where John Hall is going to put that number 24. Mercurio going to run that higher lane. Will he get the momentum? He will. And now it's just that aero blocking game. John Hall seems to want to run that bottom of the racetrack, which I'm nervous about. I would want to run the top and force him to use his tires on the bottom of the racetrack, which is exactly what's happening here. And here's the Dover diver. Mercurio taking the lead. John Hall, can he cross over? Answer is no. Textbook move by Brian Mercurio, but I don't think that 24 is done.
No, he's not done with this conversation. Looks for a little bit of a dive himself now as he forced the overlap there on corner entry. looking good on exit. The momentum is there. The 24 knows how to do it. He just needs to put it all into action now. Alex Chilcutt finding an unfavorable line. As we get to the stripe, he'll fall back at 0.3 of a second from the race leader. The open door now belongs to Chilcutt, actually, as the 24 drifts out narrowly wide. And it's just the tightest of margins and the tightest of mistakes that make or break a lap here at Dover.
Absolutely. I think Chilcutt is just in position to take advantage of something goes asunder here in the last now 10 laps of this race that has run flag to flag thus far. But don't look now, but that 24 is not done. And this is something that does happen in the racing world, Soccer. Sometimes a car actually feels a little bit better in dirty air, especially maybe a looser car. Getting a little dirty air on the nose will actually sometimes snug it up just enough to be fully in your control. And then you get up front, and now you almost have to relearn things a little bit and acclimate.
It happens in road racing all the time. You're following this car for some time. You've just gotten used to sitting in that dirty air. You get in front of them, all of a sudden you're half a second a lap slower. It just happens, especially when we're at tight and twisty racetracks, and Dover is definitely a tight and twisty one. As we said, the drivers get little time to rest here, and getting little time to rest is going to be Mercurio as the pressure is on for the final 8.
Final 8 laps here. Of course, we did the silent laps 1 through 8 in honor of Rowdy, who has obviously been taken from us too young here in this world, but these drivers have given us the best prize yet, and that is a clean race that will make everyone feel better. A nice, fun, clean, quick race here at Dover, and that is what we have had here today. Brian Mercurio up front. Again, he has not been able to put it in victory circle this season. Had such a close effort at Portland, the road course, until James Scioli made that phenomenal last lap move and took the dominant run away. But Mercurio took the dominant run away from the number 24, who was seeming to build a late race charge back at him. But I think that may have just been the last gasp in the lung for John Hall, and starting to lose a little bit of time.
Let's see if John Hall can do anything in the final 5 of this race, or has Mercurio played his strategy pitch perfect this time out? I know you mentioned in previous races he may not have been able to bide his time appropriately, as he's been a tire whisperer a little too well on occasion. Now, for now, he's leading with the final 5 left to go in front of John Hall and Alex Chilcutt 1 second back, as you said, just waiting for anything should it pop off.
Yeah, right now, and John Hall making a last surge here, as we do have a couple other battles on the track. Big wiggle there. Philip Groner under fire from Jake Nichols. One of the quieter runs from Jake Nichols on the season. In that 7 spot, trying to get 6. But as we go back to the front, again, if we hit the white flag, we'll make ourselves a clean run to the checkers. But we've been flag to flag for 133 and a half laps. Chilcutt has fallen off on those old tires. I don't want to fully write off John Hall. He's starting to slip, but he is in range to make something happen as we hit 2 laps to go.
This is definitely the best gift you could ever give. Is gonna be a green flag race here at Dover. Absolutely one of the most memorable things that I've ever been able to broadcast is a challenge like this, and flag to flag running phenomenally. And there is Barney furiously waving the white flag for us.
Bestshop.area, iRacing.com, white flag for Brian Mercurio. Has been so close all season. Has had many runs where he should have been in victory lane, but circumstances did not play in his favor, but they did today. On a difficult time in motorsports, a clean flag-to-flag race for the Florida State Builders Pro Series, and Mercurio breaks the goose egg and wins at Dover.
What a way to take your inaugural win. P2 goes back, and 60 of Chilcott will take P3. What a phenomenal run to the line from the drivers.
Yeah, John Hall had 60 some odd laps. Have to feel for him, but he technically had 1 lap fresher tires, did Mercurio, and we knew that Mercurio was a tire saver by nature, and it came to play here today. You got to give Chilcott the effort for taking that alternate strategy, pitting early. It gave him a better run than he would have had otherwise, but Brian Mercurio going to be excited. Let's see what he does, whether he burns it down, does a Polish lap. Sometimes on these kind of occasions, burning it down may not be the definitive move, and I think he is going to do that and do the old Polish victory lap akin to the fallen Alan Kulwicki back in 1992. So while he does that, we're just going to quietly play through the final results here today. We will do interviews. Again, not going to do the music. Just going to let you know where your favorite drivers finished here today and have a brief word for our post-race show. But this is our final results, and let's just enjoy this victory lap. All right, we thank Mercurio for that honorary little celebration there, and we'll bring him right into Victory Circle. Brian, obviously a very tough day in motorsport, and you guys gave us, as a whole, the present of a clean race, a fun race to watch, and you got to put the goose egg and shatter it and get your first win of the season. How are you feeling today, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really tough day for everybody. I know this is just a sim race, and in the grand scheme of things, this might not mean a lot, but it's to get everybody together, and even just to be able to race and do something, just to kind of even if it is racing, just to kind of get your mind off of it a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I had a great time tonight. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, unfortunately, there's just there's more bigger circumstances surrounding everything right now.
Absolutely. Like I said, this sometimes going back to normality is sometimes the easiest way to heal. And in the short term, again, you get a win, and just trying to look at it from the lens of, what we do here on a week-to-week basis. What does it mean to finally get that goose egg? Of course, Portland, I know, is hard on everyone's mind, the way that went through, but how does it feel to just break that goose egg and finally get what you should have had a few times this season?
Yeah, really good. You mentioned Portland. I ran really well there. Ended up having a great race with James, so that was a good time. Didn't win there. Indianapolis, I mean, me and Tim and Taylor, the three of us, ran really, really well. I feel like at least one of us should have gotten the win, but kind of came up to a toss-up with tire strategy. And to come here to Dover, I guess if you want to say, one of my home tracks, I'm originally from northern New Jersey, so it was either Pocono or Dover, and I always like winning at either one of those. So, and given the circumstances of everything with Kyle Busch's passing, and his last win was at Dover, so just kind of cool. I got the Joe Gibbs 18 number font on the Inshore electric machine here tonight, so just kind of a nice way to kind of tie everything together. And yeah.
Absolutely, man. Any final shouts, anything before we let you go?
Yeah. Big thank you to, first off to everybody for showing up tonight. returning to a little bit of a sense of normality was good. And I think, especially with how the race went, a caution-free race. There's really not many distractions, or I didn't see too many people angry at each other. So I think it was kind of a nice, a very fitting race, a very fitting way for this race to go. So thank you to everybody that showed up. You guys put on the broadcast here tonight. Everybody over at Area puts the race on, and it's one of those things where I mentioned Pocono, and there was a stretch from like 2016 to 2019 where I went to the track. Either it was for trucks, for Xfinity, for Cup, and it was a coin flip, and you're like, I'm either going to see like Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, or Denny Hamlin win. And more often than not, it felt like it was Kyle Busch. So, really, really wishing I wasn't that mad seeing him win in the grand scheme of things. But, just wanted to get that little piece out. And, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you to everybody supporting us at Coast to Coast, all our partners. ShopPrestonPartis.com, Coast to Coast Racing, Chinchorro Electric, Paul Fod Racing, Morass.live, all those guys. I really, really appreciate them. And, like I said, it was a very fitting way for this race to go tonight, and I'm glad I could be the one who won.
Very fitting words, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate you, Cordy.
Thank you. And second place here on the day, on a difficult day, John Hall. I think you led it was 60 laps, and you were trying to catch Brian at the same time. Well, rather, Brian was catching you at the same time you were catching Alex, and then just kind of ran out of steam there with about 15, 20 laps to go. Was it just a matter of Brian being good on tire saving, or what was the difference there for you?
Yeah, he was just better with the right front than I was. I felt really, really good and in control of the race first half. And then about 20 laps before pit stops, I saw Brian was getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And, I just knew I knew he was going to be better on the right front. That's last run too. So I was like, all right, well, I'm bleeding a ton of time here. Let's try to short pit it and save the right front as best I could. But even that wasn't enough. And of course I tried to mount a last second charge there at the end and got the top figured out too little too late, and I think that would have helped me the spot there at the end if I had that rolling the way I did at the end. But super fun race. It was out of all places, this is the last place I expected us to go completely green flag to flag, so kudos to the Pro Series drivers tonight. A lot of fun, even though lost it in the last 15 or so laps. But
absolutely. And just in the grand scheme of things with the point standings, I know you're fifth going into today, 78 points above the cut. There are a couple wild cards, obviously Daytona Road, Talladega, but does this give you some confidence that you don't really need to worry about the bubble? You might be able just to go straight forward and just try to get yourself the best position possible?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just missing Indy last week was unfortunate, but we would have been probably leading the points after this race if we didn't have to. Real life didn't get in the way last week, but I feel pretty good going into the chase that we're going to be sitting pretty, just trying to get the last couple spots before we get going there to get the bonus points. So, looking good.
Absolutely, man. Any final words before we let you go?
No, thank you to Brass Rain and Yarn Hub for being on the car as always. Sad day, we all know. First 8 laps were really cool. Well, not really cool, but really nice for everybody to do a remembrance like that. So,
absolutely, man. We obviously a tough day for us too, but the best medicine is a good, clean, solid race, and we had that here today. And maybe not the win, but you got more opportunities in the bank, man. I know they'll happen.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Corey.
And then just wrapping things up here today with Alex Chilcutt, who got yourself a third. You were on that alternate strategy pit a little bit earlier, and I didn't know how long it was going to last, but those tires lasted quite a ways, man, until about 20 to go, and still held on for a third. But are you still happy with that strategy call in the grand scheme?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I gained 5 spots as a result of doing it. During that first run where we went quite long, I noticed there were a couple plateau points where We had like 10 or 15 laps where the pace didn't drop off very much, so I thought it could be a viable option, and why not try it?
Yeah, and this is a great day for you in terms of points, 13 above the cut line heading into today. You should get some padding on there. I know Timmy didn't have a great day, and a good distance ahead of Jeff Wright. So obviously with the cut line coming pretty quickly, are there any fears you have in terms of tracks leading up to potentially hurt your chase implications?
Well, we do go to Daggett, right? But
Yeah,
I
that's
think
the
there's
cutoff
also
race,
Daytona
yeah.
Road.
Yes.
Daytona Road is going to be one I've marked off as like guaranteed top 5 if I don't mess up. So they should offset, I hope.
Well, no pressure there, man, but at least a solid podium day. I know a tough day, so a good running is a little bit of medicine in the short term, but any final words before we let you go?
Rest in peace, Kyle Busch.
Absolutely, and I see the logo on the hood, man, and it's a tough day, but good job here tonight.
Thanks, Corey.
Well, Sagar, I appreciate you coming in. These drivers gave us the best medicine of a complete flag-to-flag race, and not just a flag-to-flag race. It actually was a good race with really tight battles for the win at the very end.
Absolutely. I didn't know what to expect coming into tonight. I know I've seen the area team go after it before in these vehicles, but never under these circumstances. And it was great to honor such a beloved race car driver who's made his mark in history. It was great to see the drivers honor and respect him in such fashion as well by giving us this green and clean race tonight. Thank you for having me. The honor has truly been mine, Corey.
Absolutely. And normally I'll do a bunch of channel publicity ad reads and blah, blah, blah. Don't care about any of that. If you want to do anything, head to bundleofjoyfund.org. Support the charity of which Kyle and Samantha poured their hearts into with IVF and being able to help families have children that cannot physically have them without that little bit of extra assistance. So catch us soon for more action, but God bless Kyle Busch. That is Corey and Sagar signing out of the booth. We'll catch you next time.